John and Darren's office chairs provided by GT Omega Racing. You can check them out at gtomegaracing.com.
Welcome to this week Inside Sim Racing, January 11th, 2017 edition. I'm John Sable, and again this week, joined by Billy Strange.
The rotating second chair, we're going to call this.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll keep that in mind for next week.
There we go. See?
Perfect. So, this week's show, we doing something kind of slightly different. Normally we kind of have our order that we go and do things in, news, happenings, poll questions, yada yada. Sometimes some sim rigs. But this week there wasn't a whole lot of news, and we don't have a whole lot of happening besides talking about a fun race that we're going to do after today's show, and we'll be giving you information about that later on, so you can go and join us after the show and do some Daytona 24-hour prep on iRacing. But we're going to spend a good chunk of it talking about the Vegas E-race for Formula E that happened this weekend, because that was a doozy.
Yes, it was.
Whole
lots of things in there. Yep.
Whole lots of things to talk about. So yeah, we'll do our favorite things. Allow Billy and myself to just ramble on and on about a topic and take it out to like here.
Yes, that's. I think that's what people enjoy the most, right? They probably not.
Right.
But that's okay.
That's okay. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and kind of jump through the handful of news items that we have this week. And Billy, how about you kick it off?
Well, Assetto Corsa released a Scottish track teaser, and it just seems like it's a fictitious, I made up word. Yay. It's a fictional circuit. Let's see. It's got a little city drive-in. Looks like some proposed drift layouts, an endurance course. Let's see. It says 4 different configurations ideally placed in Scotland and created in partnership with NVIDIA and Sparco. This track will allow you to enjoy each car included in Assetto Corsa. So they're trying to make courses that are covering the broad or the very large spectrum of cars they have. And It just says aim to release in Q1 2017.
Yep, and these are some of the teasers that were released, and I like this one up on screen right now with the cemetery right next to the track. That's a nice little touch. But yeah, so this will be interesting. We'll see what this is like. It sounds like this is going to be the catch-all track in Assetto Corsa, combining a whole bunch of different elements. So yeah, I assume what Billy just read there, that was from the end of the year blog, and I assume this is the first of many teasers as these things go. So
it looks neat.
It does.
I mean, I'm okay with fictitious. I like making up words. Fictional. I'm gonna brand that somehow.
I do think it is fun when you go and throw in a fictitious track every once in a while to something, even though, Assetto Corsa being a title that has a lot of laser scans and obviously all that good stuff. But yeah, I think it is nice. They have the Black Cat County track, if I remember that name right.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
I always get a little confused. But yeah, so they got that one. Now they're going to have the Scottish one, which kind of almost, it reminds me a little bit of the idea that Project Cars has, because Project Cars came out with that Scottish-like track as well later on.
Yeah. Look, everybody can have only so many of the same circuit, so why not try to have something a little bit different to differentiate yourself from the pack?
Sure. All in good fun. Next topic, staying on the Assetto Corsa bandwagon here. The consoles are finally getting this pack. This is the red pack that came out all the way back in September, I believe, on the PC. That feature Ferrari, Maseratis. That was released yesterday on the consoles, as was the Porsche Volume 2 pack was also released. Sound like they had some issues with the season pass for the Porsches working on the Xbox One, but I think I saw a tweet today saying that it should be fixed now. But yeah, there's been even last week there was guys in chat asking when's the red pack, when's the next Porsche pack coming out on the consoles for Assetto Corsa, and now it's finally here.
Sounds good. Although I think they've been having a few issues.
In terms of,
there were. Sorry, I happened to notice they said I was a bit blurry, and autofocus tends to do that sometimes. Yeah, I was following Twitter, and they were having some issues getting season pass holders the content and things like that. So they're just some small bumps in the road.
Sure. I didn't catch what the pricing was on that, but I thought it was pretty similar to the PC. I don't know if anyone in chat picked it up. Let me know. I didn't. We didn't reach out to them to pick those up since we kind of already covered them on the PC. But I do want to try them though on the console. I do want to try like the F1 car. I want to see how that's done with the energy systems for both the Ferrari and also the Porsche.
You mean as far as like button mapping?
Yeah, that kind of stuff. 'Cause that was kind of like my big question. Is like, okay, it's one thing to go do it on the PC, how they do it on the console. So I have not checked that out myself. So if anyone has done that in chat, let us know how that's going.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Okay, so next up, there were some updates to Automobilista and iRacing. There's nothing to show you here because it's hotfixes. But Billy, anything catch your eye on these hotfixes?
Not in particular.
This is why we're going through the news very quickly this week.
Right. AMS just said that they adjusted some surface properties for dirt tracks to minimize issues with force feedback rattling, fixed something with the Formula truck involving like a crash and minor texture updates. Cadwell Park has a fixed terrain issue. Kind of skipping through these. Karts auto clutch has been enabled for direct drive karts. Adjusted tire slip curves. Formula Dirt revised tire model.
So yeah.
And then iRacing.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say iRacing. You've got that pace car that you were so fondly talking about.
Yes. We were chatting before the show. One of the changes they made in the iRacing season 1 hotfix was they went, and now on the ovals it's back to the old Mustang, and then on the road course it's the roof. We were chatting. It's kind of like I wish iRacing would go and like license a car, kind of like what R Factor 2 did with the Corvettes as a pace car, something a little more modern, because that Mustang body's from 2005, and it's 2017 now. So something a little more modern, even on the roadside, would be kind of cool if they went and they got like, I don't know, maybe the Mercedes AMG road going car, something like that would be nice.
I was gonna say the SLS was one for a while, wasn't it?
Yeah. At least especially in F1.
Yeah.
The only other thing that was a couple of things of note in the iRacing update was they fixed some frame rate drop issue with dynamic tracks, and then some marble and gunk in the windshield stuff. But I will say I went and we've been practicing for Daytona since that's coming up following weekend, and my frame rates weren't looking very good, and did the update. It didn't look much better, but I went in there and I did the whole auto calibrate or whatever it's called on the graphics, and that and that did help out my frame rate a bit, actually quite a bit. So always remember to go in and do that, especially with Daytona and that C7 Corvette prototype. Those are like at night, like those are very heavy on the system.
Oh, I didn't know that. It's interesting.
Yeah, I think because the C7 has the what's it called? The fancy shaders acronym. So
that thing,
whatever that's called. But yeah, so those are the minor hot fixes from iRacing and Assetto Corsa. I feel like we should almost have like a segment called like Updates of the Week or something.
There you go. And you need a graphic.
I know, I need a graphic. That's what I was thinking. I need a graphic. More work.
And then if you could be really mean and have the graphic like slide and then fall into a trash can.
Oh, that'd be good. Like the old updates goes in the trash can and the new one comes up.
Something.
There we go. Now we're thinking and talking about things that are way outside my ability. Lastly, on the news front, there is a new set of pedals coming out. These are from DEM or DEM. I'm not sure which way. I assume it's DEM. Racing.
It looks like an acronym.
Yeah, I think it's an acronym. Racing simulators. These are the DRS-LC pedals MY 2017 because sim racing names. And yeah, let's read some little thing here. High quality. This is an improvement on the older model. If you guys don't remember, DM, they had a wheel that they showed off last year that I guess is still in pre-order or development. It's not quite out yet, so they've been around for a little bit. But some of the notes here, the brake uses load cell, which supports up to 100 kilograms or 220 pounds of weight, 12 bits of resolution, 4,096 steps, which that's plenty. Anything at 10 or above, in my opinion, is just fine. And there are infinite are the adjustments. Okay. And so yeah, it looks like there's a lot of adjustability built in there, even though oh yeah, I'm seeing there's some sliders there on the base. So these are going to be available for 690 euros for the 2-pedal set, or 890 euros for the 3-pedal set that is not shown here. Hasn't been any images of that. And they're also set up to fit in their new cockpit, the DRS-17. So if you want a Formula-looking sim racing experience, there you go.
Hey, you want to go all in? That's something to consider.
Exactly. So yeah, so another set of pedals from I feel like there's so many like pedals of like in that like higher range price, small batch order type thing.
Yeah, and I think it's because everybody has that. We're still at the point where everybody has a different idea of how to try and give you that more accurate or real feeling on the pedals. So it's actually surprising how many there are out there.
There are. I was just thinking off the top of my head, and I think the past so many years it's been like DSD and Michael Main and Rick Motek and let's see, Husenfels. What else am I missing? There's so many.
Well, you got Rick Motek. You have these DEMs. There's another one that now I can't remember, but Gamer Muscle was checking them out, and those look pretty cool. There's like a handful, which is surprising again.
Yeah. Yep. So there's there's another one. But I will say for the build quality, at least the pictures show, 690 euros for 2-pedal set. That's not too bad. That does exclude VAT and shipment, so expect that to get a little higher. But for about where those pedals are priced, sounds about right. So, okay, that is our big news of the week. All 15 minutes. Last week we spent an hour doing the news.
Well, we were being long-winded last week, so we had to truncate it, cut it down a little.
It's true. We were being long-winded last week. So, on to the happenings, and I didn't grab anything to show this. My bad. You guys might have noticed that I released a video within the last week of me being part of some kind of Race of Champions competition. Well, I lost.
How dare you lose?
So
I was really holding you up there, looking forward to seeing that. I've lost faith in you.
I know. Apparently, everyone has. I mean, that's just from the sounds of it. A little backstory. So last week during a live show, there's a time where I had my phone sitting here and I got an email and I saw Race of Champions and I was kind of like, I kind of briefly looked at it, but I was like, I'll look at this after the show, paying attention to you guys. And what it was, they had a competition on Facebook. We could go and apply to team up with James Hinchcliffe at the Race of Champions in Miami later this month. It's actually going off next weekend. And I was one of 10 finalists that I think they picked because I was like, hey, on a YouTube channel. put me on there.
You're like me.
That's pretty much what I wrote. But little did I know, there were some other stiff competitors, including Glenn McGee from Sim Racing. Glenn McGee won the Mazda Road to... Well, it's not the Road to Indy. Whatever the Mazda shootout thing was via iRacing, and got to race in the Mazda MX-5 Cup, or whatever that series is called, in 2016. So Glenn was in there, so that didn't help to have two, I guess you can say, quote unquote sim racers, and he got a good number of votes. I think he ended up in the 500s. I ended up in the 300s, but unfortunately there were some other people like Connor Daly, IndyCar driver, for some reason, who got a fair number of votes.
You know, these people they're rookies. They you know.
Yeah,
they're not on the same level.
Yeah,
as Hinchcliffe.
Yeah. I thought it was quite honestly. I thought it was ridiculous. The whole idea was supposed to be like a fan thing or whatever. And I don't even know if you were supposed to drive. My whole thought was a lot of times Race of Champions runs in a bunch of 2-seaters, and you know, I thought you like maybe ride along with Hinch.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't even know. But Connor was in there for some reason. It was ridiculous for an IndyCar driver to be in there when there's like 7 IndyCar drivers in the actual event. And then there was, let me get his name right, the eventual winner was Stefan Rzyński. I'm going to say that. I'm going to say that's a silent D. Who ended up getting like 10,000 votes. And a kid out of Canada, and there was only 1 or 2 Canadians in this competition. I think Canada really got behind him. And he's also a young kid who does some racing. He was in the Mazda Road to Indy system. Now it looks like he's racing, I don't know, like street cars from a little bit of Facebook stalking I did. Or Twitter stalking, that's what it was. I don't remember what it was.
That is called gathering intel.
It was. So, but anyway, he won, and good on him. He did a good job getting videos out. I didn't get my video out until like Friday. So the competition ended on Monday. And it was a judge's decision. It wasn't just based off of number of votes, but he had the most number of votes, and he definitely deserved to win. So in the end, it all worked out, even though I didn't win. But that's okay.
Oh, well.
Oh, well. We'll get him next time. I will say,
gosh darn.
At least, you know, and by the way, thank you for the guys who did vote for me. And also, my little please vote for me video slash comedy bit had more views than Connor Daly's plead to get votes for on the IndyCar official YouTube channel. So,
well, then that's saying something.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, somebody.
So
there's a GIF in there somewhere.
There is, yeah. You guys can have that. So at least have that going for me. But anyway, that was kind of neat. So and as I was telling my girlfriend Angela, it's like Race Champions, very smart move by them because they got a lot of free publicity doing all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So okay, moving on to the news. On the video front, Billy has a video coming out tomorrow in your winged sprint car, right?
Yep. Michael Sellers actually did a skin for me of one of my cars, so I got to put that in the mod and take that out for a spin at Lone Star. So I was trying to figure out what track to do, and going off of the World of Outlaw series, the first one is Volusia, and then the next available track in that mod is Lone Star. So I decided to do that one. So like a tight 3/8 mile with a wall all the way around. It's not the easiest thing.
Nice. So yeah, that's coming up to. Someone asked earlier. I know Billy talked last week how his your computer blew up on you, but someone was asking if you're all caught up. Is everything back, duct taped together?
It appears so. I've only loaded in things that I've been trying to get done in the immediate. But we're pretty much. The only thing I haven't done is put in the update yet for iRacing.
Ah, well, that went super quick. I was surprised.
Yeah, I was just trying to get. I was trying to get that video out, so that can always wait.
Yep. So yeah, that'll be coming out tomorrow, and then I have been working on the Xbox One buyer's guide. That's taken, even though I already had the PlayStation template kind of set up, that's been taking longer than I would like. So yeah, working on that. That'll be out probably Friday, Saturday, Sunday, somewhere in there. And then okay, and then last happening here, and the reason why I see a couple of you guys are here, we're gonna do a race after the show. Let me go and pop the info up. So there you go, on iRacing, a hosted session, 30-minute practice, 10-minute qualifying. I have it as a group qualifying, so we can all go out there and try to battle each other for clean space on the track. And then a 40-minute race. Session ISRTV Daytona 24 fun race, password ISRTV Daytona 24. So yeah, that kicks off at 10:30 GMT, 5:30 Eastern, and has the C7 prototype and then the 3 GT3 cars that are going to be in the 24-hour race in a couple weekends. So yeah, hope you guys can come out and join us for that. And
that will be good.
Yeah, and I need the track time, so I'm gonna try to go out there and essentially not wreck. That's kind of where I'm currently at. Too busy.
Just 4 wheels on the asphalt, man.
Yeah, that's all it is. That's
all it is, right?
Yeah, I did get some laps in last night, and I really got to work on. I have a bad propensity to lock up the left front going to turn 1 at Daytona.
That's really hard not to do, though.
Yeah, because the whole car just unloads and it's all, everything's over on the right, all the weight's on the right front, and yeah, just not locking up that inside left wheel. Because I feel like last year, I really struggled going into that 24-hour race in practice. Just, I don't know, getting consistent and not making mistakes. And if you watch the little documentary we did, you'd see me even in the race having some struggles. But finally, by the time I got to my last stints in that race, I finally got it where I was, not locking up tires, not flat spotting tires, because you really do. If you go and you're locking up, right off the bat, that makes for a very long run.
Oh yeah, makes that whole stint miserable.
Yes, which makes for very.
By the way, I did enjoy that your video, your piece on the 24-hour race.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'll never do it again. That was so much editing.
Was that too much work for you?
Oh, that was a lot of work. Even though I don't know, maybe one of these days I'll do it again. Maybe next year or something. Because now I'm a lot better at editing, and I think I would edit it down a lot more and change some things up. But no, that was fun to that was fun to do, and hopefully capture the whole emotions of going 24 hours. Because even if you've never done it before, I mean, there's a lot of emotions there.
Oh, thank you. Thanks,
yes.
Mazda Fan Gaming.
Yes, thank you very much for the donation, good sir. By the way, if you are enjoying so far, thumbs up. So far, nothing broke. Nothing broke last week, so take that.
Take that, he says.
Well, I'm mostly saying it to you, since you're the one who said that I shouldn't jinx it.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
So before we move on, talking about Formula E one more time. Here's the fun race info: ISRTV Daytona 24 fun race, hosted session on iRacing at 5:30 Eastern, 10:30 GMT. There's a password ISRTV Daytona 24. So come out and let's get some practice and do a little racing. Okay, so now let's move on to what we really want to talk about, the Vegas E-Race that happened this past Saturday. Saturday afternoon or night or middle or very early morning for some of you around the world. It was kind of a tough time frame for those of you like over in Europe.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting because, granted the timetable we are at in Vegas, but you would have thought they would have tried to put it at an earlier time so that East Coast. I mean, it wasn't a big deal for the East Coast.
No,
people,
it was,
but
it was fine. Yeah,
especially over in Europe and other parts of the world. I was like, this is arguably more. That's a bigger fan base over there, and you're missing.
Yes, and that's what I guess all 10 of the e-racers, I believe e-race sounds dumb. Anyway, I think all 10 of the sim racers I believe were from Europe too. So yeah, that was kind of silly. But anyway, let's go ahead. I'm gonna roll up. Of course, it never starts where it's supposed to. So. This is the wrap-up 3-minute video that Formula E put out showing the guys there in Vegas. This is the start of the final race. There was a qualifying race leading up to this to try to make the top. Actually, I should back this up. There was a top 10 qualifying that saw 8 of the 10 sim racers qualifying in the top 10, and then the final 10 grid positions were set in a qualifying race up before this one that featured a lot of pro guys. And a fair amount of wheel banging. Here's one of the incidents that happened in the main race. But anyway, let me back out of here because they're driving anyway. But at the end of the day, it ended up being let's see. Oh my god, I wrote down the wrong name. So Hugo Luis was on pole and was the fastest in all the sessions, and he was leading the race. And
was Bono.
But yeah, I put down the wrong name. It's Bono Luis, right?
That's kind of how they were pronouncing it, I believe.
Okay, yeah. Again, sorry for all the butchering of names. But anyway, he was dominating the whole weekend and was leading the race, and then he came in, he did his little pit stop. Let's see if we can pick this up somewhere in here. And oh man, more wrecks. Oh, by the way, this was a great wreck.
We'll get there. I have some thoughts about this.
Anyway, so these are the leaders, Huis and Rosenquist, actual Formula E driver, coming in for their stop.
Which good for him, by the way. I just want to throw that in there. He did great. Yes, I thought he did really well.
Yes, he did fantastic. And these guys were way ahead of everyone. They came in, did their quote-unquote car change. And when they came out, they weren't in the lead anymore. And it was Ali Pakula, which you're seeing in the column there, was in the lead. And he ended up winning the race by a fair amount. And they don't show it here in the highlights, but when they got done with the race, there were some very odd looks going on. So, Billy, you want to take it from here and explain why there were odd looks?
Well, what was interesting is when I watched it the first time, they get to the end, and I was like, that was interesting. How did he pull off? We had talked, maybe he got stuck in traffic. When they were in traffic, it slowed him down really bad, and the other guy just managed because he wasn't, he pulled out, and he did it right. He did it right. When he was in the middle of the pack, that's exactly what I would have done. I would have gotten out of that pack, taken my pit stop, and got clean air after that. But when he was done, all he was just kind of sitting there looking and just kind of staring at his screen. And I was like, I think he thinks he knows something because I know some of those guys don't emote very much anyways, but he was visibly like, oops, kind of thing. And anyway, they went on to find out that there was a glitch that the fan boost was only supposed to give him, what was it, 6 seconds?
Supposed to give him five or six. Fan boost, which is what they use in Formula E, which is another whole thing. Fans can vote to give a boost to the driver, and it gives a 5-second boost. One 5-second boost per race.
So then he ended up getting like multiple laps of boost instead.
5 laps.
Yeah.
There's I feel like it's one of those. It's kind of like when we sent a satellite to Mars, and everyone in NASA was watching it, and then the satellite plummeted into Mars, just drilled it, and everyone went, "What was that?" Well, it turned out that they were doing everything in imperial units, and someone entered it in metric, or something like that. Like they got their units, they were doing it in like feet and miles, and it was supposed to be in like meters and kilometers. This is a very similar thing.
But then why did that not affect the other 2 guys? Or is it only one driver gets the fan boost? Because I thought there was 2 other drivers that got the fan boost as well. And they gave, what's his name, the fastest lap that happened to have the fan boost for that lap, if I was reading it right.
Okay, so
which was odd.
I was trying to figure out who ended up getting fastest lap, because they announced it at the ceremony. And by the way, when this race ended, not only was everyone kind of looking odd looks on Ali's face, and Bono was kind of like, "What? I was leading. I was the fastest guy." Then the ceremony was pretty cringe worthy, with everyone still looking very like, "What just happened?" But one thing that was odd is they announced fastest lap, and they announced that Ali had fastest lap, and then like he didn't come out for like ever. So I didn't know who eventually got awarded fastest lap, because those weren't clean laps. The leaders were running 128s, and those fast laps were like 126s.
Yes, and I can't remember his name. He finished like 4th. No, it wasn't any of these guys. The guy that finished... I apologize. Anyway, he was one of the sim racers, and if I was reading the summary correctly, he ended up getting the fastest lap, but that was also on a fan-boosted lap. And what my question was is, nobody... If it was a calculation error, the other 2, if I'm understanding this right, the other 2 didn't get the same laps boost that Ollie did.
Yeah. Oh, and by
so
the way,
I'm still a little confused.
Yeah, and we just had a question. Is fan boost like push to pass? It is.
Yes.
It is. I don't know how much a horsepower boost it is, but that's essentially what it is. But no, and that fastest lap is worth, I believe, $10,000. I think was the amount they put on it. So yeah, that's an important chunk of change.
Well, and like I was kind of getting to is, in Formula E, I don't think they award that lap on a boosted lap, if I understand that correctly too. So then I'm not sure why that guy, if again what I was reading, and I read it on a few different summary pages, that he did get it on his boosted lap, which was interesting. So I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's and Darren and Chad here pointed out that David Greco had fan boost too, and then there's a third person. Yeah, and it's a good question.
I thought it was David that might have gotten the Soar has. That's right. It was David Greco. I couldn't remember. I knew there was a G in there somewhere. But he ended up with the fastest lap.
Okay, yeah, and I guess it never came out if like David Greco, if he had 5 laps of boost as well.
Nobody said anything about that. That's why I was curious. Yeah. Like, if it's a calculation error, then why didn't the other 2 guys have? I mean, they should have just skyrocketed up the chart as well.
They should have, yeah. And David was in that tight race for third that ended up going all to tears in turn 1.
Right.
So it was the Russians. They hacked the fan boost.
Right.
That's funny.
So let me ask you. I have a question. What audience, what market do you think this was directed at? What was the purpose for having this event, and who were they trying to get this to?
That's a good question, and I mean, there was. Okay, let me first kind of give some of my overarching opinions before answering that. I went into this thing with very low expectations because I know how hard it is to do a live thing, exhibit this show, and technical hurdles we've had, and it being a new team, at least on like the sim side. I know the guys who were doing the production, which I can't remember their names now, what company that was.
You're talking about that took care of the mod?
That took care of the broadcast.
Broadcasting? Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I knew there's a lot of challenges there. I also had driven, as I tried to compete in week 1 of this qualifying tournament. I had driven this, and I knew what that was, and we'll get into that later. So, yeah, in terms of who this is towards, I think the hope is Formula E is clearly doing a big push on technology front. They have a thing like you can go into Steam and your VR headset, and you can go and you can watch the races from VR. You can like sit on top of a car and or just like stand up in the stands. You can watch the cars go by. So they're doing a big push there, and and they seem just. I think it's just a place where they really wanted to be, and I think the goal is to maybe fan involvement. Maybe that's what they were trying to get to, saying, "Hey, you're a fan of us watching this. Now you guys get involved. Whether doing this competition or see like other people like you can have an opportunity to go and compete." And unlike other series that might go like Formula One, that's like get out of here unless you bring your bags of money. These guys are kind of like, hey, you can just be a regular Joe Blow and come in and literally compete against our drivers, and we'll and that's really neat. So I think the audience was towards their fans and probably also younger, and what are their acronyms and engagements they want to use, sponsors in boardrooms. And also, one thing right now, Formula E is flush with money. Like, they just have so many sponsors running to that series. I mean, this was sponsored by Visa, and just all the big partners on this. And also, another thing I want to point out, there were some major names at this. So Gene Todt, the head of the FIA, John Todt, yeah, that's it. He was there. The new CEO for McLaren, who's an American, Zach Brown, he was there. They did a Q&A before, and there was a couple other big names. So, not to be fair, the FIA has walked into many places before, whether it be Korea, and said, "Hand us your bag of money. Here's your Formula One race. Oh, the money's gone. Okay, we're out of here."
Right.
It's not like there isn't a history of some of that going on. So it's not like saying like this event was awesome. It'll have to happen again. It could be a one and done. But it is cool to see those names here. So, I don't know. I think that's what it was. I think it was half like, let's try to reach out to our younger fans, our Formula E fans, and also let's like show sponsors and CES in the world, we can do this.
So you don't think it was, so what I'm gathering is you think it was directed at not necessarily the sim crowd already. You're more saying it's directed at people that are outside of, the people that are heavily involved with sim racing.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a portion of it that's directed towards the sim crowd, but as we know, that crowd is only so big. So I do think there was hopes for this to be a little more of a, let's try to reach out to Formula E fans and younger fans, and maybe even the tech side. CES is so big, and I know, like myself, I watch other tech YouTube channels like Jay's 2 Cents and Linus and stuff like that. There's such a big growth in just technology and PCs. Everyone said the PC was dead, and now it feels like, maybe because we're in that bubble, there's a lot going on with PCs and gaming PCs and VR and stuff like that. And I feel like they were trying to tap into that groundswell of younger men, let's just say it, that are getting into that. So I think that's kind of what they were going for.
Okay. To start from the beginning, the production I thought was really nice. They had, they were at CES, so we were talking about being on the forefront of technology and being in this large environment. My issue is I couldn't tell who this was aimed at. Is this aimed at the sim racing crowd to get them more interested in Formula E? Is this aimed at the fans to get them more interested in Formula E via doing a sim race? So if that's the case, then my issue lies with not putting your best foot forward. Things happen, and that's understandable. But in this instance where you are trying to appeal to, in my opinion, like what you were saying, is people outside of the know in sim racing. We all know, well, I'm going to say we all because everybody here is kind of more on the hardcore side. We all know the ins and outs of R Factor 2 and what the limitations are and the wheels that they're using and what, it makes a difference. The monitor and all this stuff. People outside of it don't necessarily know. So what they see is a really big, elaborate production. I think Dario Franchitti and, I got to look at it, Jack,
yeah.
Jack, yeah. I think they did a great job.
Yes.
But there were some problems when it kicked off. It kicked off late. Then, when they go to do the qualifying race, one of the pods doesn't work.
Well, yeah, that was my biggest thing going in. I was like, no technical issues. And even with the one pod wasn't working.
That you can't have that happen when this is your big... When you are, if this was different, if this had been put on, let's say, for some reason, like the iRace for Life deal. Let's say they had decided, Formula E decided to do that there, and then broadcast it. Your audience would be a little different, in my opinion. But this is CES, so not only are you inviting sim racers, you're inviting all the tech people, all the gaming industry, basically, because all these different media outlets are there.
Yeah.
And people that have an interest outside of Formula E and sim racing. So you've got a much broader brush you're painting with. You cannot afford to have this problem. I don't know if they had backup machines available.
That was the odd thing.
If they had a backup PC, and if you didn't, I don't understand.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't show it, so I don't know. They might have had a backup PC, tried to put it in, it didn't work. I don't know. Maybe they had a monitor problem. But again, knowing that it's a live event, you should have backups. 1 or 2 backups, and okay, we've got a problem here. We're just going to move you over to this one. So can't have that. And then that racing in the first one, there was a few drivers I could tell that weren't really taking it serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were I mean, there was a couple that were isn't there a Chinese Formula E driver? Did I understand that right?
Yes.
He's from China?
Yes.
Okay, so he was racing with a pack. There was somebody that just flat took somebody else out. I mean, there was no regard. Just cut across. Wham! I was like, whoa! Well, you took care of that, didn't you?
To be fair, every year we watch the iRacing Pro Race go off. And every year, you think, okay, pro drivers. Every year it's just a wreck fest. Like it's sloppy this year. The last one they did in December was no different. So to some degree, even though there were people kind of bouncing off walls and there was some contact and stuff like that in that first qualifier race, I didn't think it was awful. And it definitely cleaned up a lot. Well, it appeared to clean up in the final race. It's hard to say because we mostly watched the sim racers. But yeah. And I also will say, that mod, having driven it, those aren't easy cars to drive. And it's not like they're difficult from like them having like, I don't know, torque and stuff like that. It's difficult because there isn't a whole lot of feeling in the wheel. I drove that thing around the Long Beach track, and it's like, it's not the best mod. There's not a lot of feedback there. The sounds are real. I mean, they kind of give off that whining noise, but like there was like random sounds coming in as like I was going around the track. So this wasn't the best easiest thing to drive in terms of sim racing.
Yeah. Well, still. So then they had, what's his name that won it? And then I almost thought he like threw a little shade at the sim racers when he said, "Why don't we go have a run and then jump in and then jump in the pod?" I'm not sure if I interpreted what he was saying correctly, but that's kind of what it like a little dig at the physical attributes of of some of the sim racers. So that was interesting. And then get to the race. Go ahead.
Oh, so that was the Costa. Which, by the way, one thing.
Yes.
I kind of feel bad. I don't know. I wonder how these Formula E drivers feel, because it's kind of like they come in this thing. Everyone's saying the sim race is going to be faster, and I mean they qualify 8 of the top 10, and I mean I would expect that too, just them being more used to this form, even though no one got to practice the track until they got there. But yeah, they had more times I guess in this car mod and whatever. So they come in there as like everyone's saying like these guys are going to lose, and you're a real world driver. And the sim racers they kind of made that comment. That most of them probably aren't going to go out and beat you in a foot race.
Right.
I don't know. Did you write it off as like, well, it's a trip to Vegas, and at the very least I get $20,000? I don't know. It's a tough position to kind of be in.
And that kind of puts you back in the position of what experience are we trying to portray? And when they get to the main event, they shortened it from 20 what was it, 20, let's see what you got here, 28, and went to 20 because again, now weren't they down like 2 or 3 pods? Didn't they only start like 17 drivers or something?
I'm not sure about that, but yes, that was rough. Delay. I came in at the beginning of that prelim race, and that got over with. I'm like, okay, cool, nice production. I'm liking the announcers. Okay, did a little Team Red Line promo. That was cool. And then it's like, okay, time to race, minutes away. And then it was, we have an issue. Watch the Team Red Line promo again, which at the time I was like, go interview some guys. Let's see some other, racers other than the Team Red Line guys. So,
yeah. And then when they kicked the race off, I thought Dario Franchitti and Jack did a really good job of doing the commentating, and I thought especially Dario never said, only for a sim racer or anything like that, which could have been mistaken as or taken as a pejorative.
Yes.
He never said anything like that. He actually I thought, did a really good job of being complimentary and trying to give insight from a driver's perspective, as from a sim racer's perspective. He kind of was bridging that gap between the two, and I thought he did a really good job. The problem I have is on the presentation, and it actually happened to him at the end of the race, there are no driver names. Like the sim was so, the mod was so awful looking. And again, this is on a big platform. You need this thing to look amazing, and there was no reason not to, is the other issue. There was absolutely no reason not. You had all these PCs, probably donated, would be my guess. But still, you can build a $400 or $500 PC that'll still make the stuff look pretty good, at least way better than what it looked like on there.
You aren't gonna make that mod look better. I drove it.
Well, and that's my point is that it almost felt like it was rushed. That there wasn't enough time taken to make sure that they had all the pieces in place because this was put on that that Twitch channel that covers all kinds of stuff. So somebody browsing over and catches it going, this looks like crap. What the hell is this? Is this how far sim racing or racing games have come, or however they want to say it? And you're just like, yeah, they were probably never going to try it anyways, but it puts a stigma back into it that isn't needed. And so then you have people, again, you're at CES, technology showcase. It just looks bad. And so then the track design was not good. I don't know why a track design was done like that. You would have been better off doing 8 or 9 corners with a flow section, a high-speed section, and 1 or 2 difficult turns, to help the Formula E drivers go.
Well, I mean, to be fair, it's designed like most of the tracks they race on.
I know, but you can't.
Which isn't good.
No, and that's my point.
It's not good in real life either.
Yeah, you can't do that. You have to take it. It's like when I design the tracks that I drive, or that for my slot car store. I can make the most complicated track in the world, but my appeal is to the person walking in off the street and getting them in there, and then the idea becomes more racing and not just trying to not crash.
Yeah.
So
there weren't many passing opportunity locations.
No, and then like whoever did the billboards, you're going into some of these tighter turns, and you've got a DHL and a DHL, and the corner washes out. Yeah. I can't figure out the last time I saw something like that. So I don't know. There were several things that they did it hurt sim racing? Did it kill sim racing? I don't know that it really did. We've been in this spot with iRacing and stuff for a while. I don't know how much more. And the problem is that you're never going to get like a MOBA or audience or something like that gets millions of views, because those things are fantastical. There's no way to recreate those experiences in real life, where cars they're more tangible. We as sim racers are driving cars that we wished we could drive, but the idea itself is not necessarily outside the box. So I don't know how many people you're going to get doing that.
The question, and yeah, I mean, I agree with all that. I mean, I think overall the project looked rushed. I think R Factor can be R Factor 2 can be a just fine platform to use if you have the right proper mods and time to do that, and blah blah blah. What I'm curious is if something I was thinking. I was like, will this be even feasible on any other platform? And I just don't know, because you need the customability that R Factor offers. What I thought of? Why don't you go and have like Automobilista guys do this? Like I
sure,
think that would make a lot of sense. Because I don't know that, some people said that iRacing, and it's like iRacing, so they're already busy. Unless Formula E is gonna come with a bunch of money, you can go hire a bunch of subcontract people out to go and do this type of stuff. You're really kind of left with it being on an R Factor 2 type platform, which is fine.
I didn't have a problem with it being on R Factor 2. I just think that the mod that they used was just not indicative of what we as the sim racers inside this community want to see and want to show other people. And yeah,
I wonder what people think about that, because I found it. I went and I pulled up my TV and I put a picture up on Instagram about it, and it was I found it on the Twitch app on my TV because it was one of the top broadcasts going on at that time. So it was on the home. Like, I didn't go search it. It was there. It was. So it's like, I wonder if people are like, yeah, is this what the sim racers and the flight sim guys, is this what they do? Because this looks awful. So I mean, again, I understand how hard it is to put all this stuff together. There's a lot of moving pieces, and you go and you dot your I's and cross your T's. You do everything you can to not have, apparently we just dropped a bunch of frames, but to not have any issues, and then something happens. So I feel for them, but
you want to believe that there was no lack of preparedness on their part, that hopefully they had tested everything, which unfortunately doesn't seem like it, but they probably did not do that on purpose, but it doesn't help anything.
Yes, I agree. By the way, I wonder, we briefly saw it there that crash for third place, which was the best race going on during the race. I kind of wonder if part of that was because they only had on single monitor setups, and I just don't know how well visibility was side to side. I didn't know. I couldn't quite see how they were set up there.
Well, honestly, as a driver, I looked at that and said, and that is the difference between a sim racer and a driver. You can take it to the limit so much further in sim racing.
Yeah.
He should have. Those three should have known where they were. You don't have to see next to you to realize that 3 wide into a kink, which was not something you should ever put in a track to begin with, but it was there. Yeah. You should never have done that move anyway. It wasn't the one guy's fault that made the initial move. It was the other two for not really realizing that we're getting past.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be able to make this. And instead, let's just, cram use your brain.
Yeah, that was... think of all that money lost there. Brutal. Thank you, Mark McQuillan, for save the stream, save the world. I love that. Oh, and by the way, as we're still, somewhat wrapping up here on this, the poll question this week is in the top corner there if you want to check it out, asking your opinion of the E-Race. So I guess the question is, does this come back next year?
Well, I don't know. It could, as long as the people that were involved just kind of saw it as growing pains and they don't perceive to get a huge negative backlash. If it did anything, and as long as the sponsors seem to be okay with it, it'll be back. What's his name? The team manager was doing a conference today and talked to
Dom Dillon.
Is that who it is?
Team Redline?
No. And I thought some of his comments were a little interesting.
I didn't see him.
Yeah, just in his little brief piece about how it's the most pure form, and then I was like, yeah, you're talking to people that race in cars. You slow down a little. Well, I understand what you mean. But
hype man, give him a towel.
Right. So I'm like, I don't necessarily agree with that statement. But anyway, no, the team manager for the team Bono was driving for.
Yeah. Red
No. The real team.
Oh,
because he's associated with an E-team.
The Faraday Future team.
Yeah, I think it was him, or maybe it was third place. But anyway, it doesn't matter. One of the top finishers, team manager, was given an interview at the Energy Efficient. It was like EECM or something. He thought it was great.
Really?
Yeah. He thought it was a great opportunity to reach the YouTube audience and the younger generation, so he seemed positive on it. So, maybe that's indicative of what these guys feel, and hopefully, I don't see it as a bad thing. I just think they need to step up their game for next time.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, I mean, you'd hope a second time around the technical issues wouldn't be there, and then... Yeah, I don't think the current mod and tracks can be saved. Again, guys, from the E, if you're watching, you want to do this again, go hire Riza Studios. I think they would make the most sense in doing this, unless anyone else wants to throw their hat in who might be developers out there in chat, which I saw at least one. But something I do want to hit on is, at the end of this, I will say I think Formula E did the right thing, giving Ali the penalty and dropping back to third. Mm-hmm. He still pockets $50,000. I think third. If he didn't have the issue, I think third's still where he would have finished, because I think he was the first guy behind that wreck for third place. So, some people said like, oh, I saw some comments. I couldn't believe this. People were like, oh, Ali got screwed, and it's like,
no. You can see it anyways, and some even said he volunteered. He volunteered it. To step down.
Well, like you said, he wasn't exactly like yes after the race. It was kind of like, oh, something's up. So yeah, still 50. I mean, the money is amazing. Bono came. I got that right. Bono, right?
Yes.
Okay, I wrote down Hugo Luis in my notes here, so I got myself all messed up. Came home with at least $225,000. I don't know who got fastest lap. I guess someone else, but he got $25,000 for the pole, and then $200,000 for the win. Ali came back with 50, and actually I got Team Redline here. They finished first, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. And again, Rosenquist finishing second, $100,000. Should get a huge shout out. That kid's been super fast. He was racing in Indy Lights here in the States.
Real quick. Darren he said Johnny was acting like he won raising the trophy up, etc. But if you saw when he was first sitting still in the pod, Darren, that he looked, if you go watch the stream again, because I actually watched it a second time, he looks like the cat with the canary caught in his mouth.
Yes,
I mean, he was just like, he
didn't finally, because they had the camera on him, and finally someone came up and like, kind of gave him a high five, and he kind of
and he was kind of like, yay,
Yes.
and then they're all standing around talking, and I suspect that they just told him to get up there and act like you just won a large amount of money. So
the first reaction, I'm glad he eventually celebrated, because he kind of should. But anyway, Rosenquist did a great job.
He was awesome.
The kid was killing it in Indy Lights this year. But anyway, Team Redline, first, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. I did the math. Those guys won, and this is where Dom Duen comes in, because I wonder how much percentage cut he gets of being team manager, because they won, by my math, $380,000 between those 5 guys. So that's why when the race was over, no matter who won, Dom, they showed him, and he
was like, "This is amazing."
I did, because I threw a number out there. I don't know. I would love to know what his cut is, but let's just say he gets 25% of winnings. I don't know. Just throwing
even if it's just 15,
an arbitrary number, 25%. That would mean he made $90,000 on Saturday. If that's the case, so
oh boy, well,
so good on him,
right? You put something together, so
that's right. You reap the benefits. So so again, that is some serious cash. That is still very cool to
Darren
see.
points out that he wonders if Fanatic got a little bit as a sponsor.
I do wonder that too. I saw Thomas was
I saw that.
There.
He poked he was right in the screen at the very last little bit there.
Yeah. So I wonder that too. So that still crazy number of figures, and it'll be interesting to see if Formula E has the motivation to get this back together next year and also raise $1 million. I mean, that's a lot of money. But that'll be interesting.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, in conclusion,
I think we did it.
Yeah. In conclusion, it was just was a missed opportunity with some good pieces and a lot of not so great pieces.
Yep. So, you only get one chance to make a first impression.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate part.
Yes.
I thought it could have been better. They could have had technical problems and still had pieces in place to overcome those things.
Yes. So, like I mentioned earlier, I would like to be interested in see what your opinion of the whole event was in the poll question. I didn't write down the 5 different options, but I think I said very good, okay, needs improvement, something like that. So yeah, let's hear what you have to say.
Yes, please.
So,
all right.
Okay, so we got about 25 minutes until that session opens up for the iRacing Daytona race. Again, one more time, let me throw this information up there. There's the session, ISR TV Daytona 24 Fun Race. There's the password, and come join us. Let's do some racing, and hopefully people will be sharing setups because I don't have a setup. So I need one. I know the team we've been working.
John,
on.
You're good enough. You don't need a setup.
Well, okay, you are right. So with that said, thankfully Billy's been grabbing some questions. This is Q&A again. I think I didn't ask Darren. Presented by ProSimU. If it's not, you get a free plug. So if you want to know more about ProSimU, head over to our website. Click on that nice little banner there in the middle of the website, and you can learn more there. So, what do we got, Billy?
All right, so Tom Jones is asking me, what's the website for my slot car store? It is SideWinderSlotCars.com. We also have a Facebook page, Sidewinder Raceway and Hobbies. If you're so interested in that as I decide to destroy my mouse.
Oh, that's what that was.
Yep. And yeah, so if you feel like checking it out, feel free.
Nice. Mark McQuillan. Should someone at Kuno's tape Stefan's hands together to stop him typing? Stefanos, I assume.
Yes.
Is that the answer?
Did you read any of that at all on Reddit and all that?
Nope.
I was purposely skirting this one. He's very
to be fair, he hasn't I have no idea about this, but he hasn't had one in a while. So I thought he was on the course to recovery because he hadn't typed anything in months.
Yeah, apparently there's somebody that is an experienced driver by his accounts that asked, basically he was showing some sort of file setting, and to be brief, why is it when I put this number in, the car no longer has a push? Because his argument is the cars don't act realistic because on the brakes they push and then they slide, and so to him the cars weren't acting correctly, and so they had a back and forth, and finally I think Stefano, is that his name? Just blanked.
Yeah.
As my brain shuts down. I think he kind of felt like his work was being attacked, and these guys have to deal with a lot. I'm not saying that he should have responded in the way that he did, but at the same point, it's just like us. When we put stuff out, you've only got so much thick skin before somebody finally gets through, and he got
Billy,
he got frustrated.
Yeah, Billy, you iRacing fanboy.
Yeah, right. I usually let some of those slide, but some of them just like, were we watching the same thing? Are we in like the same universe? Anyway,
no.
He lashed out at the guy, and because he felt like he was being attacked. And again, that's not an excuse, but I can understand the frustration. And he wasn't exactly explaining it in the nicest of terms either back to the guy, and the other guy wouldn't drop it.
Yeah,
I think that's the problem we have. Too is the other guy. Why does this bother you so much? If it is the way it is, then leave it alone. You've asked the question. If you're not getting the answer that you want, then drop it. Leave it alone. Like, there's no reason to keep. What good are you doing by continually badgering the guy about? Basically, he's telling him his physics are inaccurate. His formula and calculations were no good. And he fired back with name calling, and that's where the problem comes in, is that you're supposed to be in a higher position as this is your product, and now you're representing your product, and you're coming back with these insults towards the other person. And I think that's where everybody kind of got a little upset with how he had responded.
Yeah, you just can't. I mean, I don't know. To some degree, this is why I don't. I tend not to go out and read a lot of this stuff. I don't research it anymore because it's just kind of like, I don't know. You just can't. There's people you just can't win. I just try not to engage. And there's days I don't read comments. There's days I do read comments, and some days I don't read comments.
Yeah, and it's stuff like that if you're always embedded in that, can give you a bad taste of sim racing in your mouth, because it's not just developers, it's sim racers too. That not everybody. I'm just saying there's instances of people not having a good attitude, and you're picking apart stuff, or you're straw manning an argument that doesn't make any sense. So I think everybody, pardon me, everybody just needs to relax a little bit. It's only as bad as you make it. And if you don't like the product, you should figure that out within a little bit of playing it. If that, until they do an update. I guess if they do an update, you can't do anything about it. But there's the refund button on Steam. Other than that, you make your case heard. Hey, I don't think this is correct. Can you answer my question why it's like this? And if you can have a nice back and forth with each other, perfect. If not, drop it. You're not going to change that other person's mind, and it's going to do you no good. And eventually, it's usually you that ends up looking like the ass.
Oh yeah, no, we can't. Don't you exactly. so I don't respond. You can't win.
Right?
Let's see. Ali Osman, what do you guys think of Carl Edwards' retirement? NASCAR talk. What do you think?
Yeah, that came out of nowhere, didn't it? I was not expecting that.
I listened to his press conference today, though, and I don't know. I think it made sense.
Yeah, I think there's a certain level that you achieve, and you kind of go, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to hit that again, and I'd rather go out fighting for it than maybe having a slump kind of year. And he's got 2 young kids, right?
Sure.
I think he's got 2 young kids, and then he's got other interests. Yeah, he's got other interests now. He can go do those other things. Sure, why not? If the racing bug bites him again, he can always go back to it. He was racing dirt late models, I think, before this, so you can always go back to doing that.
Exactly. It's probably because the new Toyota is so ugly.
Oh, burn.
How about you take the next one?
All right, Tom Jones. Any info from Fanatic about a new wheel? I have not heard anything. Have you?
No, I do need to email them because they talked about coming out with new rims for the CSL and putting together the Xbox buyer's guide. That's kind of like I'm curious if maybe where they're at on that. So I do need to reach out to them and ask. Let's see. Tom Jones, John, can you tell us your very first time with an AccuForce wheel? Like literally the first 5 minutes, were you blown away? Yeah, no, I was blown away by it. 'Cause I think the first time I tried it when I went up to Spokane for like my interview, summer 2015, and spent a fair amount of time just driving on a bunch of different sims, and it's kind of like, oh, this isn't like my G27.
Is that what this is supposed to feel like?
Yeah, and playing around with all the different settings. So, no, as I said, with the AccuForce, you get it dialed in, it feels amazing. I think some people get kind of lost in the dialing in process. So that's why I tell. And Darren already knows this, that things need to be I like to see things a little more simplified in the setups there, because kind of make it so people don't get way off in left field, because you can really get into the weeds if you tune it wrong.
Correct. Let's see. Let's see. Nira, I have a Fanatic CSR with CSW V2 pedals. Want to keep the pedals but upgrade the wheel. Suggestions or options? And then he compliments the stream. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yes, we had that weird. We lost. Like I said, we lost that 595 frames like for a second.
Yeah, you're on my screen and you kind of did the whole max headroom thing. You're like,
nice. Let's see. So my question would be, if you are, if you're on PC or consoles, if you're on the consoles, then you probably want to look at something else in the Fanatic family, because only one input. If you're PCs, you can reach outside that. I mean, these questions, it really comes down to what's your budget.
Right, that's the biggest determining factor.
It really comes down to budget. Let's see, CSR. So if you're keeping more around that price range, I think the Thrustmaster T300 is a really good price. If you're going to do Fanatic CSL is an option. Even though, like I said, right now, I think that wheel is kind of limited by only the P1 rim, because honestly, the more and more I use that rim, the more I'm less and less impressed by it, because it's just kind of... you use their formula rim, and that's one thing though. I do have the Fanatic F1 rim on the PC, and that rim's really nice. So if you're on the PC, you can go that route. Actually, that's what I would say. If you're on the PC and looking at the CSL, just go get the formula rim if you drive formula like cars, because that's $180, and the P1 rim is $140, and it's like for $40 more, you get a way better rim.
Right.
So, and then like the TSPC that we reviewed recently, I really like that wheel. That's nice. So, and there'll be a comparison video of those wheels here very soon. So, maybe wait for that. Hashtag soon.
Yeah. Right.
As I freaking edits, it takes so long. Julian Wag, should I spend my money on direct drive wheel and stick with my G27 pedals, or a CSW V2 plus V3 pedals plus CSW shifter? Yeah, direct drive wheel and G27 pedals. That would be a fascinating dichotomy into something very good.
I would tell you to upgrade your pedals before I would upgrade the wheel, in my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I think pedals, wheels, they're both pretty critical. Yeah, I don't know if I want to be running the G27s too much. I mean, there's definitely better out there. Unless you have it modded, there's definitely better out there. So, but I will say, if you're looking at a direct drive, that's a fair amount of money. You can pick up like the CSL Elites for $200.
Yeah.
Or even the V3s are only $300 or $330 because I think you have to get the brake mod that I reviewed. It also depends how much you need a shifter. See, for me, I spend the money on the wheel and pedals, and the shifter I kind of worry about later because I just don't use the H pattern very much anymore.
Right. Yeah. It kind of depends on what you're going to do with it. I found that I can drive with a lesser wheel, but the pedals are the pedal feel is more critical for me than necessarily the wheel. I mean, yeah, you don't want I don't particularly care for the ones that are on the bungee cord kind of thing. So yes. I do want some sort of force feedback, but
yeah.
Now that I've messed with this stuff a little bit, I think I'd be much more apt to spend money on pedals than I would a wheel. I mean, not that those aren't nice. If you can afford it, then go for it, because it does give you that little more adjustability. The fidelity in it is better.
Yeah, direct drive wheels, it's not, a lot of people like to talk force feedback and strength, and that's ridiculous to some degree, in my opinion. It's about feedback. The direct drive wheels, you just get so much quality feedback that you just don't get on the regular belt-driven wheels. So, by the way, Mazda Fan Gaming, thank you for the compliment on the review. Glad you enjoyed it. You want next one?
Julian, that was one you just did.
Yep.
Bad. Fail. Tom, do you guys watch all the other sim racing YouTubers? John?
Occasionally. It's kind of funny. I've been thinking about this. I kind of purposely avoid hardware, a lot of hardware reviews, and even software. Because I know, for example, Gamer Muscle, he looked at the TSPC wheel, and he put out a review video before I did. Darren had already done his, and I watched Darren's because I was, it's kind of like a part two to it. I started watching the video, and I really like Gamer Muscle's videos, by the way. And I started watching, and I got like a minute in, and I was kind of like, you know what? I don't want to watch this because I don't want it to influence my opinion.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And so a lot of times, I kind of stay away from it because I just kind of want to stay clear-minded. I end up watching a lot, like I said, a lot of like Linus Tech and Jay's 2 Cents, and been watching a lot more of the kind of funny guys. So kind of in the tech video game scene, but not necessarily directly sim racing, because I'm trying to kind of keep from my perspective. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I watch a bunch of different people in and outside of sim racing. I like the guys from TV&V, super nice guys, and I think Alan and the guys over there do a nice job with their podcast, and they have a pretty balanced view between like the hardcore guy and the casual person that likes more of the arcade stuff, which I still like some of that stuff. And then Jimmy Broadbent, I like watching him. I like Sim Racing Paddock. There's a couple other guys that I won't talk about that are in and outside of sim racing. But yeah, I watch a whole bunch of different people. I like to get a lot of different perspectives, because maybe I'm not in the position you are where I'm necessarily reviewing something and then putting that out there. Unless, like when I did my WRC6 thing, I made sure I didn't watch anything. Again, to not influence myself, just to get my impressions only. And but everything else, I kind of watch a broad range of stuff.
Where are we at?
Gamer Muscle. Gamer Muscle. Don't forget Gamer Muscle.
Gamer Muscle is a good one. Where are we? Oh, there we are. Mazda Fan Gaming. I'm looking for a sequential shifter as I'm planning to swap out my G27 wheelbase and shifter soon. What could you recommend as a decent shifter to add to the new setup, excluding super high-end price? I know at least on, I mean, sequential wise, I do think the T3PA, not TH8A for its price, does a pretty good job.
Yeah.
The Fanatic shifter, close bore shifter is nice. I'm still gonna review that one of these years. But that at $200 is a pretty good way to go. Beyond that, I'm not too, we haven't had any. I know again, it's kind of like the pedals. There's not as many, but there are a few of these really like niche shifters, especially sequential ones out there. I'm pretty sure Husenfeld has one, and maybe that's getting too high end. But yeah, beyond that, I'm not really sure. I haven't tried it myself.
Yes, Spatial just mentioned that 3D printed shifter. What is it, SHH or whatever that is?
Yeah.
That one I've heard is pretty good.
Yeah, I know Mark reviewed that and put the review up on our website, and it sounded like that was he enjoyed that one. So yeah, hopefully that helps.
Yeah, right. Trekkin, who is your picks for the Chili Bowl on Saturday?
Come on, Billy, let's hear it.
Well, Rico's going to be good, as always. I think Tanner Thorson actually will be good in the mix. Because he's I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he's your national midget champ. And then Larson, he made an oops last night. He was really fast, was running second, and he started trading slide jobs with the leader and went upside down. So that's going to put him behind the 8-ball.
Every year in the whatever that's called, prelims, whatever it is, he always comes out of the gate and
but he makes it exciting. I mean,
he does.
It's not that he can't drive. It's just I've seen him do it when we were at races together. I've seen him just be flying, and then, but I mean, when you're on the edge like that, I've seen the best do it. You're gonna do it. I just saw Donnie Schatz take out somebody in Australia, and Donnie Schatz never spins out, and he got checked up by a car coming out of 4, spun out, and cleaned out another. I mean, cleaned that guy out. Oops.
By the way, Jack, thank you for the $10 donation.
Oh yes, thank you, sir.
To see Charlie and Indy in next week's show. I don't know if Darren's gonna be quite off the mend yet to see Charlie.
Just put Charlie in the chair.
That'd be so funny.
There you go. Put Charlie in the chair, and then you guys can have a conversation.
I'll just take a picture of Charlie, and
there you go. Every once in a while, just hit the bark button.
We'll just do a cutout that we'll have up on the screen here at the bottom.
I'll do a Scooby Doo voice, and we can give Charlie a voice, and then you can put the picture up there instead of me. It'd probably be better looking, anyways.
There you go. Maybe I can grab Indy. I'll take her collar off because it jingles, but once in a while I can get her to sit in my lap and just relax. Let's see. Mark CK at John. Do you really think the best way to go with the V3 pedals is to use the brake performance kit over the damper? I do. The damper kit. I mean, they kind of. Someone I know someone in the comments section wrote you totally messed up. You don't understand what the damper does, and I knew I was going to get that, because the damper is supposed to dampen it, so kind of slow down how it depresses and stuff like that, and thus it's slowing down and providing some resistance. It essentially just increases resistance. At the end of the day, it's increasing resistance, and that's what the brake mod does with the elastomers. So I find it that it's already being accomplished, and I can't turn my damper past 2. I've never been able to do this since 2 or 3, and once I go to 4 or 5 or whatever up higher, it's not smooth anymore. The travel, it kind of snags halfway and then goes.
Sure.
And kind of as I explained in that video I was having that when I first tested, until I got those metal shavings out, and maybe it wasn't necessarily the metal shavings, but just wasn't having enough of that oil in there, which I put a ton on later on in that video, and that seemed to work fine. So I guess be very liberal with that. Whatever that, the lube.
The lubriderm.
That's right. So be liberal with the lube. So, but yeah, so the damper, like I said, I never been able to turn up very high, and you're kind of accomplishing the same thing. And yeah, I think, you know, once the kit's $30, the damper is $60, and I just feel like the damper just accomplishes the job better and smoother.
Right.
So
I would agree. Steve Baxter, how much will SimVibe in chassis mode on an 80/20 rig improve my experience in the Rift? And is it a must?
I'll tell you very soon if it's a must, as #soon, as I need to do my SimVibe review, or I don't know if it's necessarily a review, but showing it off. But as I've driven on Darren's rig, especially when he before he had the Stage 4, he had the JCL to be faster, like V1 chassis. That's an 80/20, and it makes a big difference. Like SimVibe really is, it really does make a nice difference. And I just haven't had time to mess with it. But yes, from everything I've heard and experienced, it's been good.
Yep, and I think that's going to do it on questions. So you guys can get over and start playing around in iRacing. You want to throw up that password and stuff one more time? The specifics?
Yes, there you go. So yeah, hop on over on iRacing. Let's go and do a little racing. 30-minute practice session, get everyone in. 10-minute qualifying. 40-minute race, which is I'm pretty sure field run is more than 40 minutes. Hopefully. Hopefully we're not doing splashes at the end, but I think we're okay. ISR TV Daytona 24 Fun Race, password ISR TV Daytona 24. So come on over and jump in the C7 prototype or one of the GT3 cars.
There you go.
So
sounds like a good time.
Yes, good time will be had. We will beat it into you. You have to have a good time.
Yeah, we will tell you to have a good time, and you will like it.
Lashings will not end until you have a good time.
Sweet. All right, then.
Yes,
that'll do it.
That will do it. So as always, thank you for watching this week Inside Sim Racing, January 11th, 2017 edition. I can't believe it's already 2017.
Right.
Just nuts. For John Sable and for, what are we calling you? The second chair?
The rotating second chair.
Yes, John Sable in the rotating second chair. Have yourselves a good evening and come race with us.
All right. Thanks, guys.